Have you ever moved a big piece of furniture and found a dark, kind of dusty secrets lurking on the wall behind it? Yeah, we're talking about mold. It's one of those things that can pop up in even the cleanest homes, and it can feel totally baffling. But today, we're going to break down the simple science that shows exactly why it happened. So picture this. You decide it's time to rearrange the bedroom. You grab that heavy wardrobe and you pull it away from the wall for the first time in, years? And there it is, a shadowy, speckled patch that definitely wasn't there before. It's a really common discovery, and let's be honest, a pretty gross one. So, how on earth does this happen? I mean, you keep your house clean, you open the windows, there's no obvious damp anywhere else. So, how can mold set up shop in a home that's otherwise completely spotless? Well, the answer has a lot less to do with housekeeping and a whole lot more to do with basic physics. Okay, let's put on our detective hats for a minute. Our investigation starts with the first major clue, the wall itself. And we're not talking about just any wall, specifically an external wall, one that's on the outside of your house. The temperature of this surface is actually the first critical piece of our puzzle. Think about it. An internal wall, the one between your living room and your kitchen, let's say, stays at a pretty stable, warm temperature, right? But an external wall? Oh man, it's out there battling the elements. It gets hit with wind, rain, and cold air, and all of that makes its surface way colder than the rest of the room. And that cold surface, that's clue number one. So we've got a cold surface, but that, by itself, isn't enough to cause a problem. Our second clue comes from the furniture, the wardrobe, the sofa, maybe the headboard of your bed. This is all about the air that it traps. See, when you push a big, solid piece of furniture right up against a wall, you're basically building a dam. All the natural air currents that are meant to be circulating around the room, keeping things fresh, well, they get blocked. And this creates a tiny, isolated pocket of stagnant air that's just stuck there, right between the furniture and the wall. Okay, so we've got our two main suspects in the lineup, a cold wall and this little pocket of trapped, stagnant air. Now, when these two things come together, they create what you could call a perfect storm for a very specific scientific process to kick off. And that process is called condensation. You've seen this a million times. Think of a cold glass of lemonade on a hot summer day and how it gets all wet on the outside. That's condensation. The air all around us is full of invisible water vapor. When that warm, moist air hits a cold surface, it cools down really fast and can't hold on to all that moisture anymore. So it releases it as tiny little water droplets. And this right here, this is the simple formula that explains everything. You take the cold surface of that external wall, you add the pocket of trapped, moist air that can't escape, and boom, you get condensation. Water droplets start forming on the wall, completely hidden from sight. So, after gathering all our evidence and connecting all the clues, we can finally point the finger at the real culprit behind this whole household mystery. And like we said, it is probably not what most people would guess. And here is the absolute most important takeaway from all of this. Finding mold behind your furniture does not mean you're a bad housekeeper. It's not about dirt. It's not about grime. It's an environmental issue, driven entirely by physics. It's just restricted airflow meeting a cold surface. That's it. So right now, you're probably thinking, okay, simple. I'll just pull my furniture away from the wall a little bit. And you know what? That absolutely helps. It's a great first step. But if the wall is particularly cold or the room is pretty humid, sometimes even a small gap isn't quite enough. You're treating the symptom, but the root cause, that combination of temperature and moisture, might still be there. So let's do a super quick recap. External walls get cold. Big furniture blocks airflow. That 1-2 punch causes condensation, which is exactly what mold needs to grow. And most importantly, remember, this is an issue of physics, not cleanliness. So now you get it. You understand the science behind this whole thing. You know why it happens. And that completely changes the game. It shifts the question from, why is this happening to me? To a much more powerful question. Okay, what can I do about the airflow and temperature in this specific spot? And asking that question, that's where the real solutions start.